This is Daewon's song. This is Daewon's song in 1975. This is Daewon's childhood home.
I remember always doing these here. Still got it.
This is the street where Daewon did his first kickflip.
My first kickflip probably happened at this exact spot. And it looked exactly like this.
This is Daewon's car.
It's a rental.
This is Daewon's favorite red curve. These are Daewon's shoes. This is Daewon's first Instagram post.
Adonis song.
This is Daewon's first cover.
Laser heel, crooked grind, fakie.
This is Daewon winning a bet against Steve Rocco.
100. When the money was on, Daewon could just, do stuff. That was it.
This is the World Park in 1992. This is the World Park in 2019.
This is like most of my childhood.
This is Daewon's first tattoo.
Now it was supposed to be a cover-up, but it never got covered up. It's like the Pamela Anderson for men. Tribal tattoo. Whew.
This is Daewon's song when he was 2, right before his heart stopped beating and he almost died.
You know what's crazy about that now? See, this is a funny one because I used to always tell people in the interviews, and I had just seen my sister the other, it was like Thanksgiving, and I was like, I was with my girl and I'm like, yeah, how about me? Almost dying when I was 2, like all pumped. She's like, Daewon, that was me. I took all her credit of almost dying.
Yeah, and you know what? At age, I can't do math, but at age 43, he skates like his heart is gonna stop at any second, so he wants to get as much of it in as possible.
At the age of 5, the Song family relocates to Gardena, California.
My cross streets it was a trip. I lived between Rosecrans, Crenshaw, Van Ness, and Compton Boulevard. And I was right in the center of that. But that part wasn't as crazy as it sounded. It's kind of like a couple of notches over where it was like, okay, now you're really in the hood. But I still embraced like the sister almost dying. I kind of embraced it. I was like, yeah, I live in the heart of the hood. I try to get that street cred.
Gardena, California is kind of really what shaped that man into the epic legend that he is today.
In 1988, Daewon's family gets a divorce, and this allows him to start skating, providing that he passes all of his mom's math tests.
I mean, nowadays in an interview, he'll tell you everything, but when you're, picking him up and he's 16, he's not gonna go, yeah, man, so my mom, he wouldn't do that. He would just get in and go, that's out of the way, let's go, where are we going? Let's go skate.
My dad wasn't too strict, but my dad was he was always just working. So my relationship with my dad was pretty crazy. It's like he was somebody I didn't know. Pretty much my whole childhood was just like, he worked late, so by the time he got home, usually I was already tired, I was sleeping, or once in a while I'd get a glimpse of him and be like, hey, and in the morning he was gone for work. So imagine that relationship. My mom was the one I knew, and she was crazy hardcore, like old school, where it was okay to swipe a rose bush across my neck. I appreciated every minute of that because she disciplined me to the point where I think every beatdown I got was for something stupid. There might have been some that were just like, I didn't pass the test. When I got B's, I'd probably get a beat down. B's weren't good enough for her. And then the test part was, if I wanted to go out and play, I had to take this test. And I was like, I didn't even teach you this in school. It's like a surprise quiz to go out and play. And there was some points where I was looking at the test going, I'm not going outside today. It's not gonna happen. And it's just pretty crazy when you grow up that way. And it kind of, I don't know, it's weird. I can complain about it now, and I was so upset when I was a kid, but now I just look at it as it made me kind of a stronger person.
At 14, Daewon begins skating 135th Street School in Gardena. One day, Rodney Mullen sees him skating and asks his friend for his number.
I first saw Daewon, I used to just go skate at this South Bay school. And I was just coming out one day, and next there's a double-sided curve and a fire hydrant out of a little curb cut. And he was skating with a few guys. And I remember, again, just watching him put my stuff back in the car. And I saw him backside 180 in it.
I don't remember the back 180. You sure it wasn't backside flip?
Curb end's pretty quick. I think it's a stop sign. And just how he moved, his response and how agile he was through it, there was just some particular poise where it's as though that's all I needed to see. It was that striking, where you know you're looking at something different.
And now all I can do on this hydrant is this.
Wasn't that much longer, a matter of weeks, where I was skating at 135th in Gardena, And I saw him there. And I think it's then when we exchanged numbers and took it from there, because I remember driving away like, that kid's amazing. And I was so thankful that I got to see him again. Like, nah, I'm not gonna let that slip away. Like, there's something to him. And you can immediately see in his character too, like he's just present, you know? There's something different about him.
I remember Pat telling me like, hey, Rodney was asking about you, said you had some control, and I remember being all pumped, like, what? I didn't even know how to take it. I didn't understand what was happening. It's weird because I wasn't actually on the team. I was kind of like Rodney's somebody he took under his wing, and through that time, I feel like he was trying to introduce me to like some of the people, the existing writers and people, but I think they were kind of like, I don't know about this kid, man. He's kind of whack. Like Rodney was like, no, believe me. Like there's a lot of big names. I don't even want to bring up their names. They're like, nah, this dude sucks.
But look, if much more is said about that, I don't think I deserve any real credit for that at all. I just always believed in Daewon and saw what that guy had.
How amazing is that, like, Rodney Mullen just happens to see you skating? Like, it's pretty, like, serendipitous, you know what I mean?
In October 1991, Daewon is featured alongside Kareem Campbell and Daniel Castillo in the notorious White Power World ad introducing the new batch of AMs.
That was the first time I'd ever seen anything, I'd ever even like heard his name.
I mean, I knew of him, but I didn't really know who he was. Kareem told me he was black. Kareem was like, yeah, this new dude got on World Industries, his name's Daewon. He said Daewon, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh shit, okay, like what is I mean, okay, the day I met him at the castle contest, I kind of seen him skate, because I was like skating too, you know, so I couldn't really pay attention to him, but the shit he was doing, I would see, I'm like, fuck, he's gnarly, you know? And then finally, when I went and really skated with him, when I went to his house, I was like, whoa, this dude's on some whole other shit.
There was this undercurrent between Kareem and Daewon, and Daniel always around, then Shiloh. And I remember how fast he was advancing. And then Steve was like, look at this, white power. And it just instinct, and that's how Steve was with ads. It just comes to him when he was looking at the photo. That was the beginning of like, look, because back then it was mostly white skaters. And that was like the first, like, wait a second, there's no white guys.
I remember seeing white power. Like, what does that mean? And Kareem and us were like, who gives a shit? We're in an ad.
You know, it's fucked up, I'm gonna say this. Like, Shiloh was supposed to be in there too, but Kareem didn't call him.
When you first see Daewon skate, even if he just was starting out, you can tell, like, this kid's good. Like.
And I felt like when Daewon got on the team, you know, and then Shiloh got on, and Chico, and I felt like Rodney and Rocco started focusing on us, like our generation, you know what I mean? It was cool and like kind of surprising in a way. Kind of like, oh, what happened to the other guys? Jeremy Klein and them, those were like the real dudes. I didn't really hang out with them, so I didn't know what they thought. They were probably tripping, right? Like, fuck, this guy Daewon's gnarly, fuck, you know? They were probably kind of scared, I don't know.
It was a pretty high entry barrier to get on the team. And I remember it was not that easy at first for him. Kareem, Shiloh, is just like, I wasn't even cool enough to hang out with Kareem and Shiloh. But you know, I mean, obviously Daewon was so fucking good that lasted about an hour or two, and then that was it. I mean, just on talent alone, he's just accepted.
In 1992, World releases Love Child. Daewon takes last part as a virtual unknown and becomes one of the biggest stars in skateboarding.
There wasn't a bunch of coverage of Daewon in magazines or whatever, so nobody like knew who he was. And you just see this video part and your mind is just blown. Like, my mind was blown.
He's really smooth, and I think that looks cool. I'd love to see him cut down a big wave or something. It's like, he like has that style, you know? It's rare that you get that style with technical. It's like a little bit like Warrior style, but it's really hard to believe like that he just like, at the same time as it's like hitting things like and going super fast or like, you know, with a good style, he could also like stop, take a few pushes backwards, boom, big fakey 360 flip, you know? It's like crazy that he's got both.
He has one line, I forgot what he does, the first trick, but he does like a Howard heel, you know, going pretty fast, you know? And I was like, dude, that's how fast Daewon skates, you know what I mean? In my head, that's how he always skates, just fast as fuck. And I always felt like, dude, finally, like in his part, like damn, they've captured it, you know, just him like boning out, doing his shit.
I was psyched to film him. I mean, I got to watch all this stuff as he popped it off. I was like, just watching him progress, dude. It's insane to now when you think about it, how fast it all happened. I mean, I got the job in February of '92. The video came out in June. That's 4 months, and in 4 months, I saw the progression. It just happened so fast.
He also unveils the hard flip.
Maybe the first documented hard flip. Because I remember Rodney saying that there was this guy, Dan Gallagher.
He started hard flips, even named him. And it seems he could have done nollie hard flips too, because I used to float on boards. Good guy. But it's different, just like I create a lot of flat ground tricks, whatever, but it's different when some of the guys take them further. And Daewon was, to me, I think the first I remember anyone taking it further like that.
It was one of those things that we gotta land that, we gotta do that, we gotta, you know, it was the hot trick at that time. I remember all these guys in the parking lot, all the blind guys too, like Henry and everybody just trying to figure it out. Like, and everybody had their own take on it because nobody said this is how you do it. You know, nobody said you put your foot here, but they were all trying to figure it out.
And it's funny because being known for like the first one to document that hard flip and people showcasing it is like one of the coolest things and at the same time one of the worst things because it's one of the worst hard flips ever on footage, you know? And so I'm like, oh, so every time I see it, people are like, oh, cool, one of the first hard flips. And then they go, ooh, shit. Thank God it wasn't the last hard flip we had to see bounced off the ground. It was like the earth, when the earth catches shit before you, it's like, God, man.
Following Love Child, Daewon turns pro while the Rise of the World Park gives him a private place to skate and he progresses at light speed.
After skating in the daytime out in the streets, we'd go to the skate park. Or on a rainy day, go to the skate park. Or just to go hang out and you got nothing else to do, go to the skate park. And yeah, Daewon was probably the one that skated there the most because I'm the one that had the key and he was always with me.
Those days were like, felt like a lot of my buddies were like kind of dropping out of school, you know? And I was like, fuck man, I want to drop out too. Sounds fucking stupid, but at the time I was like, dude, I want to skate with them too. Daewon wasn't going to school, you know, or Tim Gavin and them, they were fucking skating the park. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? Every time I'd go there on the weekends, I'm like, dude, you guys get so much fucking footage. Like, it's crazy. That's where Daewon was doing fakie 5-0, fakie tray flip.
That was, it was Lord of the Flies. I mean, for sure. I remember walking in there a few times and just going, oh my God.
The first time like I met Daewon was in front of World Industries. It was him and Kareem Campbell and they're like little kids. When I saw them, I was just like, this is the new shit. Like this is gonna be the new crop of skating. This is gonna be the change.
It was really special to see things happen for the first time. Things have gotten a hell of a lot bigger and crazier now, but to see something happen for the first time was pretty wild. Like to see Gino do a back tail, backside heel out for the first time, to see Guy do a front half cab, nose slide, switch heel. It wasn't like, oh my God, like you just changed the history of skateboarding. Nobody thought like that. It was just progression, progression, progression. And I remember Rodney doing switch 360 flip fakie Manny there for the first time. And I remember back then, it was like, oh yeah, it's Rodney. Like that wasn't hard for him, but think about that time doing a switch 360 flip fakie Manny. It was the first time I did a hard flip front blunt slide on a curb. And I remember doing that and thinking, that sucks, but fuck it.
That's why I always thought he was the best, man, because he could skate mini ramp equally as he could street, you know what I mean? Which was fucking crazy.
I never realized it until a few years went by, but I think Daewon intentionally held back how good he was. And then I saw him on this mini ramp just fucking around, and I was like, oh my God, like he's better than everybody.
There was such a time in skateboarding where there was just so much progression and so much stuff happening that if you look back at it all now, you're like, wait, he did what? Like, you don't even realize. I think he did like fakie tray flip, switch front blunt, or fakie tray flip back nose blunt. I don't think anybody is still have done that to this day.
And I felt like Rodney and Rocco made that park for us in a way, you know, just to, so we're all together. We're so spoiled. So fucking spoiled. We had like bunk beds and shit.
In 1993, New World Order is released. Daewon takes last part again. At the end of the video, Daniel Castillo proclaims him the best in the world.
Sick, dude. Skating's sick. He's the best in the world.
That was insane. There was no one could touch him at that period. No one.
I mean, he still is the best in the world, right? Okay, the reason why I said that, because he did that seriously like first try. Yeah, he's gnarly.
Daewon skateboarding like really affected you because he just like every time you saw him like he would just raise the bar, raise the bar, raise the bar.
This is Daewon's favorite skate park.
Gardena South Park, because this is where I grew up.
This is Daewon's front truck. This is Daewon's back truck.
It's like, you know, to me it's an out of control steering wheel. Just front wheels turn, back wheels stabilize myself, and just the way I like it.
This is Daewon's favorite donut shop. This is Burlbanks in the early 90s. This is Burlbanks now. This is Daewon's nasty, skanky, fucked up ankle. After New World Order, Daewon injures his ankle and starts dating a girl in Long Beach who's a member of the Bloods. Slowly, he drifts away from skating and gets into import car modifications.
I didn't actually see him get hurt. I just, heard the ah.
But I remember all of us getting hyped and psyched on something and giggly, and then just fucking going nuts, and then Daewon's just skating hard and he tries to ollie over this, like, at the World Park, we had this ramp-to-ramp thing, and it just snapped his ankle. Yeah, dude, he was out for a while. He never went to the doctor to get it fixed.
The bones never grew back. I mean, to this day, I don't think they're right on his ankle. And I think that's one of the main reasons he never jumped off him much, because it's definitely in him to do that.
But Daewon, he was a dude, he could lower your car. He was like, dude, I could lower your car or your homie's car. Fucking, I could cut the springs, this and that, so he knew. Daewon's the type of dude that whatever he gets into, he's like pretty good at. He'll figure it out and fucking get really good at it. Dude, if Daewon wasn't like a skater, he'd definitely be like a fucking Asian gangster or some shit. Straight up.
6, 8 weeks, whatever the normal process, you start kind of seeing people gravitate back. And I remember I saw less and less. And I remember us talking a number of times about how important, like, what he has to give.
Yeah, Daewon had a moment where he was like souping up Hondas. Thank God that ended and we were able to get Daewon back,
Eventually, he gets a call from Rodney telling him a cross-section of his teammates left World to start Girl.
Yeah, me and Daewon, we were skating together, but not as often, So I remember when I quit, I didn't even tell him. I didn't be like, Daewon, I'm leaving, type shit. I was like, I didn't think he would care. Because I didn't think he was skating that much,
I mean, look, none of us knew what we were doing. It wasn't like we expected it. I'm sure Rodney remembers it, I mean, it was pretty traumatic for Rodney, obviously, because he knew everybody. I mean, those were all his guys. It affected him probably the most.
It's pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy. I remember thinking at that time, that could be the end. I mean, it might be the end of the company stuff, which was part of the reason why it's heavy is because, yeah, company stuff. But it connects with your friends. It connects with who you are. Like, we're skaters. Like, this is who I am, is through what I do. And so when something's ripped out like that, it's like surgery. So I want you to know I understand if you gotta go. I want what's best for you. We had that bond. And I remember he didn't, like in Daewon's, that way he has about himself that's just fundamentally cool. No extra words, he just goes, well, I guess it's just us then, Rod. Nothing more needed to be said. And I remember it hit me so hard, you're just like you're happy, but you're emotional, and so you just want to be cool, like right on the skate, or whatever it was. What Daewon did for me that day, that's like, whew. To this day I get choked up thinking about it. Like, I'll be an old man thinking about it.
I mean, Daewon's just a loyal guy,
When World's next video, 20-shot sequence, is released, Daewon only has a few tricks.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't skating that much. I think his ankle is still fucked up. Yeah, he only had like one line or something. And dude, honestly, after that, I bet you in his head, after he seen that, his little section, he was like, what the fuck am I doing?
It's like I used to always have video part, and then nothing. Yeah. And that was that time where I was kind of gone, like just in La La Land with my own self, in my own head. Didn't know what I wanted to do, except get into trouble, I guess.
In 1996, Daewon returns to retake last part in Trilogy and skates to Absolute Perfection.
Oh my God, okay, let me say something about that. Dude, he was supposed to skate to this Tribe Called Quest song, which is fucking, at the premiere, it was that.
We got the call, hey, this video has way too much hip hop or whatever, and we feel Daewon's part is better suited to like some reggae. His video part was already edited to a beat that was way faster than anything that was in any of the reggae songs we're listening to on those CDs. We had to change it to something that would fit what was already on the timeline. And that was the only song that could fit on the timeline, and it worked. As soon as you dropped it in, we played it, it was like, look, it's lining up. So that was it, that was the ticket. It was like, it lines up, it's reggae, it's not hip hop, it works, right? No, it didn't. It ended up, everyone hated it. And hated me.
I remember having it all edited to that, and I was super pumped because that was what I was into. And I remember watching it, and it was that Pato Bantan, like it's the reggae man style. I remember watching that being so like bummed.
That part was still really good, but it was just that song was like, whoa, what the hell?
And if you watch that video part, it's like, it's really like I'm skating curbs while people are still skating ledges because I was trying to come back. So I couldn't fakey flip 5-0 a ledge again until I warmed up and filmed it on a curb until I can kind of get back to where I was.
Around the same time, he joins upstart shoe company DVS. He sticks with the brand for 20 plus years.
Daewon's that type of guy, you know? He's pretty loyal. He's loyal to his friends. He's loyal to the people he skates for.
Between 1997 and 1999, Daewon vs. Rodney, round 1 and 2, were released to great fanfare.
I like 90s Daewon when he used to have like the hair like that. I mean, that's what I like. You know, he's like, and he like hits that shit. It's like super like, it's like on point. It's like, you know, you can't fuck with that. Like it's like boom, boom, boom. And he holds the manual, cherry flip out. Like, it's like, I don't know the names of the videos, but I've seen them. I know the videos. I know the tricks. I've watched it.
Every time he puts up footage, it's something no one else could do. It's wildly impressive.
100 times over, I picked Daewon. I mean, I love Rodney too, but it's just so different. I think it's cool that they did that. I think they should do more of that.
Certain times in your life, there's no responsibility you have but to just wake up and go film. So you end up just having all this footage. And it's the only way you can do it when you're such good friends. Like, I mean, you know, we're like family. And I was like, it's the only way it's a competitive video where it's not competitive between me and him. And you can kind of put it out there as like it is. And people will say like, what? Fuck, they want Rodney all the way. And I feel like Rodney, he had more fans. So I was like, oh shit, man, I'm getting a lot of backlash on this thing. It just went from there. And then round 2 was way more competitive with each other.
I think they actually should have like had a real fight with weapons and tried to kill each other. I think that's probably one of my ideas. But as usual, nobody listens to me. So.
In the year 2000, Daewon drops apart in IE and continues his picnic table era.
I think, dude, with normal ledges, I think it's too easy for Daewon. He needs something else.
You don't play on the roof, you get your skateboard off the roof, okay?
I know I will, but once I'm gonna try it twice and then I'm gonna put it down because I already brought it.
Doesn't,
the benches are already up here.
I don't really
They're all
care.
trashed and stuff like that.
That's not the point here.
If I can't find something, then I'm gonna make something. I like it because it's my own ideas, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not riding off anybody and I'm not caring about what people are gonna think. Like roof gaps, putting benches over, or just jumping and the adrenaline, or putting tables and making weird configurations. Like, I'm down for it, you know? I'm like, why do everything that everybody else is doing when I can just skate something I've created, you know what I mean?
The amount of picnic tables we moved around, Jesus Christ. I could not imagine the janitor coming to the school the next day like, are you kidding me? It was like, you know, to this day now, I regret and feel so bad for what a lot of kids and stuff and what we did to the people that worked there. I mean, because sometimes I constructed like a runway consisting of 8 tables, a kicker, 2 tables under that with a gap between it, and then another table, and then just brought one out for the hell of it over a fence just to put it out there for a backdrop, you know? And it was just like, oh my God.
Probably took him longer to set up the obstacles that he was skating than actually doing the tricks.
Short-lived Deca Skateboards released their video Second to None, showcasing crazy conceptual spots in Dwindle's warehouse.
His part in that is still, to this day, it's one of the most fucked up things ever.
Dwindle was doing all this change in the warehouse, so everything was being emptied out, and you had all these pallets, and it looked like all these roof gaps and all these things that we could take advantage of. So we just asked, I remember hitting up Rocco and stuff and saying like, do you mind if we skate back here and film? He's like, do whatever you want back there. I remember doing, everything we did was okay until we started lighting the rails and stuff on fire. And they're like, whoa, dude, you can't light anything on fire back here. That's crazy. It's like all the cardboard's still around here and stuff like that.
I'm sure if Daewon set it on fire, his heart was in the right place. So.
Don't ever give young skaters keys to your warehouse and a video camera and say, do whatever the fuck you want, because, or actually do that, because then that video comes out.
In 2003, Rodney and Daewon finally team up to launch Almost Skateboards. Round 3 is released a year later with Ryan Sheckler as their child prodigy Am.
Yeah, man, that was crazy. That's where I really got to know Daewon and his kind of insane, awesome energy that was just like all skate, and then he was fun. Like, he was so fun to be around. And I was a little kid, you know, I was like 12, 13, and just to be around those dudes that were so innovative and so about skateboarding made me want to skate so much more.
In 2005, DVS releases Skate More, and once again, Daewon completely reinvents himself.
He's one of the few guys that still, there's like shock value. He'll amaze you, he'll freak you out, like he'll just blow your mind. Like, we can watch skateboarding all day long, but like to watch Daewon skate is like, it's a treat, you know, and I love that about his skateboarding.
When I started filming for Skate More, I started filming with Colin Kennedy. He's like, dude, let's take you to all these different places. I remember going to spots with him, he's like, yeah, just do a tail slide, and I'm like, a tail slide? Like, no flip in, or he's like, dude, just do a tray flip, do a 360 flip nose wheelie here. And I'll go, I'm like, in round 3, I nollie 3 flipped out of it. He's like, but this is a different spot. You're running, you're alling over 2 things, and then you're 360 flip nose wheelie. He's different. And he kind of like put me in this whole thing of like saying like, you can just simplify your stuff, but it can still be good. And I remember thinking like, okay, I didn't even want to go to that premiere, Skate More premiere.
Yeah, man, he's tripping. That part was amazing.
When I started working with him, one of the first things I noticed was like, when we would go to film, he would start trying these crazy technical things. And the moment the cameras would be off and we'd just be skating, like warming up or skating in the parking lot afterward, he had this incredible like way of skating that was super fun and was like way more appealing to me. I was purposefully bringing him to things that it was like gonna force him to do, I think, a more simplistic form of his skating. I don't know, I had this belief in like his natural ability, right? Like, if you just see this guy skate anything, you're gonna be blown away. And so, yeah, it became this kind of push and pull though of like, we would go somewhere and he'd like start flipping out and I'm like, don't flip out. Like, he would like try to like flip in or like big spin in. I'd be like, don't do that. And so there was like a long period of time where I think he never like pushed back too hard, but I think he was like questioning. He's like, dude, what? Like, why? So the last trick in his part is a total fluke. And he was just messing around, even though it wasn't like incredibly easy for him to actually commit. Like, he could get down there pretty easily, but coming into that last bank, almost like losing all of your speed and then like popping in, like that was pretty jarring for him. And I thought it was incredible. It was like the antithesis of like a Daewon manual trick. There's no flip in and there's no flip out.
That was just us skating and having fun, and he was laughing, and he ended up using it as the last trick, and I was like, why would you use something that was just us having fun? He's like, dude, and you know, Colin had a vision of like, and he was like, dude, you're just skating, you're enjoying yourself.
He didn't really voice it like clearly to me at the time, but after the fact, after it had kind of come out and it was well received, he's all, dude, I actually was like so embarrassed. Like, I thought like that was gonna be my worst part, and I didn't want to go to the premiere, and I was kind of like, wait, what? Like, why did you tell me? Like, so thankfully he kind of like kept it internal, and then once it came out and was really well received, he was able to kind of let me know.
In 2006, he drops parts in Get Familiar and Cheese and Crackers, showcasing his training skills.
Cheese and Crackers is seriously one of my favorite things ever.
My brother and I watched it. We had gotten it from my cousin, and it was just like a whole new level that we hadn't seen.
It was super fun, and I remember we didn't promote it. I remember just making like a small thing on my computer, like the small trailer, and people were like, what the hell is this? And then it just came out. And I think there was no hype on it, there was nothing, it was just like, boom, cheese and crackers, a mini rant video.
Also in 2006, Daewon is named Skater of the Year by Thresher magazine.
I don't think people were going for Skater of the Year back then like how they are now, right? He's just so gnarly that probably Jake Phelps was like, fuck, gotta give it to him, you know? But yeah, that thing, I don't think he was really even tripping hard when he got it. Now he probably appreciates it. He wasn't going for it, you know what I mean?
I remember I was on the toilet when I got the call, and he was just like, Daewon, what's up? And I was like, what's up? He's like, you're Skater of the Year. I'm like, what? I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, you want me to give it to Sheckler? I'm like, no.
Around 2009 and 2010, Daewon goes through a heavy divorce. For the next 3.5 years of his life, he lives in his car and in random hotels.
Skateboarding, it just kind of depends on how you want to. I mean, everybody has a different story. For me, it kind of consumed me. All I wanted to do was just skate, 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 and skate. And I think from late 2003, maybe 2004, to about 2006 to 7, all I did was skate. I didn't take a single day off. I didn't put any time in with family. And I just didn't see my kid as much because I was just working. But it was almost like I was working so much because I wanted so much for my kid. I didn't even think about it because I was so busy, film this, film that. And it caused a lot of problems in my life and within like my relationship. And it caused us to go our separate ways. And it caused, I'm sure, a lot of pain for my son. And, you know, he doesn't talk about it much anymore. He's grown up too, but I'm sure it messed him up a little bit. And the thing is I never wanted skateboarding to do that to any part of, like, I didn't want it to, it's such a great thing that you can do, especially as a career, because everybody always talks about like how amazing is it when you can do something you love for a living. And it was, but at the same time, these things can kind of, sometimes, it can take you away from certain things that are really important, which is like family. And you can't change anything, you can't take it back. And I always think to myself, like, was it worth it, the sacrifice? And it's like, I can't really answer that question. All I can say is that during that period of time, I did accomplish a lot for myself. And within that period too, I had my own stress things going on with the relationship anyways. It wasn't just that. So I needed skateboarding to like put me in an area to like kind of bring me at a medium so that I wouldn't become such a stress case.
In 2011, Daewon is listed as number 29 on Transworld's 30 most influential skateboarders of all time.
I mean, 29 though, I barely made it. Phew. Phew.
He's a mastermind. He can do anything. I think that his skate brain is like one of a kind, and I think that he's only limited by his own ideas, and his ideas are endless, so that's why he's always changing, and his skating's always changing, and that's why he's always putting out so much amazing stuff, is because he's always cranking up new ideas and then fulfilling those ideas, which is a genius. That's what geniuses do. Their brains work overtime.
You know, around me, he's always been extremely humble, so to get to travel with him and see how he interacts with kids and people that he runs into, it's pretty wild. Like, we'll go to a full demo, and you know, we're all skating, and he like won't even be able to get on his board because of the interactions he's having with people. It's like he values that so heavily. And it's like, come skate Daewon, or people want him to skate, and he's just like spending time with each individual person.
I would say if I had to like categorize Daewon, I think he is also a person that did a lot of skating, like a lot of basic skating before he did tricks. You can tell by the way the person rides their board and how they stand on their board, how much time they've put into like just skating, which is something that no one does now, because I mean, immediately you get a board and the first thing you want to do is learn how to ollie. Where your ollies would look a million times better if you spent like, you know, a couple of weeks just pushing and just riding your board and feeling your board. I mean, the ground and the rolling.
In 2012, Almost 5-incher premieres, Daewon officially enters his tree and rock era. One of my favorite eras.
Oh my God, if wheels can roll on it, no matter what shape it is, or if it's going like horizontal or vertical or whatever, like, dude, I feel like he can figure out a way to skate it. Nobody else really does that.
We'd be like in PV, some Palos Verdes somewhere, you know, in the middle of the road. He's like, yeah, I want to get a trick there. I'm like, where? He's like, with that rock around the grass. I'm like, you're gonna skate, what are you gonna do on that rock? Where are you gonna land? He's like, I'll just fucking roll into the grass and roll into the street. I'm like, whoa, okay. But it worked, you know? That part is crazy, fucking amazing. It just goes to show that dude could skate whatever. He could get a cover on skating a leaf or something, like, you know, like his creativity is way gnarlier than a lot of other people's, you know?
All I was trying to do was accomplish the video part where I just skated nature, I guess. You know, give or take a few cement obstacles in there, and I don't know. It was kind of like a gamble, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed kickflip front crooks in a rock.
He skated rocks. Entries. In 2013, Daewon posts his first video on Instagram.
Well, I'll go shirtless for the video.
By 2018, Daewon's Instagram has grown to over 1 million followers.
No, he doesn't. Are you serious? Is Daewon actually getting famous now? Because it's like, it's about fucking time.
Like any Instagram post or any little video clip is this gem, a treat in the skate industry. The stuff he's doing is really creative, but it's so hard that no one else could recreate it.
And it's so cool because we get to see him like all the time. A lot of the funny, quirky stuff that he posts is like, nobody else is doing that.
Like, fuck, man, how'd you get him to be like that, you know? You can't just show the trick.
I think for Daewon, Instagram is like one of those platforms that has just, it's like it was like made for him in a lot of ways. I know he struggles with going to parks and going to places and skating in front of people.
The part I could relate the most to is he likes to skate alone, and he does videos where he sets the camera up and does it himself. A lot of times people get offended when you block them out because you have to get in your zone to do a hard trick. And sometimes maybe it's a way of being polite to the people around you by secluding yourself and doing something that takes a lot of control or a lot of inner oneness to do the trick. I think that's very inspiring and it's like admirable. He probably could do the tricks in front of people, but you know, I don't want to do it in front of you and make you feel like you're nothing, so I'll just do it in private, video it, and then post it. So, yeah, I mean, like, imagine showing up at a spot, you like do like, I mean, he could probably do the shit with his eyes closed, and people would be like, not only is he doing tricks 10 times harder than me, he's doing tricks 10 times harder than me with his eyes closed.
In 2016, at the Adidas Away Days premiere in Los Angeles, Daewon is announced to the team along with Mark Johnson.
Crazy how long we had to stick with like keeping that quiet. And I remember filming for that too and having to go out and putting tape over the logos and stuff like that, because in the world we live in now with social media, it's like a kid just is like, oh, I seen Daewon, boom, Adidas. And we kept it a secret pretty good.
That was exciting. I mean, we live in a culture where everything is old in 5 minutes. We're so, you know, connected. There's no surprises, no secrets anymore. Like everything is just like all the raw meat is thrown to the lions, you know, 24 hours a day in real time. It was just unbelievably amazing to make that kind of change at that time in my life with Daewon Song, of all people. One of the high points of my career.
It's pretty fun to actually do that. I felt like a kid, like, oh my God, nobody could know a secret. It was a huge change, but it was a change that was really worth it, and it kind of remotivated me to get back out there and get back at it.
In 2017, Daewon is rightfully inducted into the Skateboarding Hall of Fame.
It's rad to see Daewon up with the fucking legends, dude, like with Hosoi and Tommy Guerrero, all those dudes, because Daewon is like that guy, man. Like, he's gonna be influencing people for a long time, I feel like, you know?
When they had said, hey, you're gonna be inducted in the Hall of Fame, I remember being like, wait, what? What, they got a new section? They're like, no, the Hall of Fame for the 90s. I'm like, damn. And then I was thinking, what am I thinking? Like, I was so hyped, like, hell yes.
He'll never stop, you know what I mean? It's like, they're gonna have to make another award for this dude. They're gonna have to just make one up. You know what I mean?
In 2018, along with the cover, Daewon receives the TWS Legend Award.
Jamie had hit me up from Transworld saying they needed a photo. I couldn't think of anything, but then Acosta was like, hey, I might have a spot for you. And then he had shown me photos and I was like, where is that? When I saw photos, I was like, I could just climb it. But Anthony ended up bringing like a little ladder. I got up there and I actually had second thoughts. Like, I don't know about this thing. It feels wide enough, but I think the glass on the other side of me ended up hitting it or something. I was scared that that might happen. And it ended up being a cover. And I remember seeing it going, I was so pumped. Just for the effort it took to like do this. I know to some people it's not an effort. They're just like, yeah, just barge it. But it was sketchy that day for some reason. Especially when you get to be doing it for as long as I have and you're at my age, dude, you don't want to get arrested for being up somewhere like that, you know what I mean? That was photoshopped. I did it in this one. And then they put me in that one. Whew!
In 2018, Daewon leaves Almost to start Thank You Skateboards with Tori Pudwill.
Coming back together with Daewon, joining forces, start a new board company, it's a dream come true. So honored to work with Daewon after knowing him for so long and looking up to him since I was a kid. I'll pop out.
Daewon is just pure inspiration. You know, he's pure innovation. Like when you think the name Daewon Song, you think innovation. You think innovating. If there's anybody who has kept skateboarding pushing the limits of what could be done on a skateboard and look amazing doing it, it is Daewon Song.
If you're looking at his body of work or his skating all these years, his legacy, I think, is the fact that he's definitely one of the handful of guys that has not only had a long career, because there are more guys who've had a long career at this point, but like constantly reinventing himself and staying relevant, you know, because I think that's the crazy thing is like, he's never been out of like the collective conscience of skateboarding.
He's getting better with age. I think he's becoming more wise with age, you know, I mean, with age comes wisdom because you see more things, you've lived longer, and you understand, but...
That's the thing that still marks Daewon, and that's what's in him, and I think that that's one of the things that, like when I think in the context of what, you know, legends or guys that change skating, not by what they are, but who they are. But there's something about, again, putting his fingerprint, his distinctiveness. And I think that that's intertwined with his, like a yearning, like it's like breathing to him to go out and like, I gotta film this because I got this new idea. He's also contributed to what we are, what we share as an ethos, as a community. That's the intangible stuff that's printed everywhere that you immediately recognize, but it's hard to put into words. It's one of the reasons that guys like Daewon don't come around very often. Because the content of who that guy is. Yeah, I get choked up because there's no one I'm more proud to be associated with.
Daewon, was that good enough for Steve Rocco?
This guy's going too fast!
His love for skateboarding has never, it's been the same since he was a kid.
The fact that there's a documentary being made on him is probably keeping him up at night. You know, and just like, fuck, why?
Hey, Daewon, move in more. Move in more. All right. Now you guys gotta wave.
Hey, give me the background before you end it.
Get it? Did you film it? Yeah, you did. Love you, Katie. Love you, Lana. Love you, Adonis.